have to improve the performance to answer the questions. They're running with it, and these are people who actually are very well trained in math and computer programming, so that there's no barrier there. They just basically take it and run with it. So I think that's like the harbinger. That's giving you a sense for the power. If the hard-nosed scientists say yes, this is important for answering my questions, then I would go with it. Now, someone had an interesting point to make about questions. By far, the most important thing that you can give your graduate students is a good question. And they're very hard to find and very hard to predict. My thesis advisor, John Hopfield, at Princeton, told me that to get a PhD, you have to solve a problem, and that's your thesis. But if you're a good physicist, you should be able to solve any problem. If you want to be a great physicist, you have to know what problem to solve. Because most problems are, they're dead ends in terms of, implications. But if you pick a really good problem, then this will continue to blossom and to impact many other fields. And when that happens, you win a Nobel Prize.
Yeah, I'd like to take a different spin on that, because I think one of the challenges is not about what field is growing the fastest. It's about the ability and the need that things are coalescing. You never solve a problem today with just one field. It doesn't work that way. So the beauty of big data, the beauty of AI is that it's able to integrate many fields of learning together to actually solve a problem in a totally different way that we have done it years ago. And I think that's the beauty of AI and data science, right? You don't have to be an expert in one area to be just the only expert that will solve the problem. I think that is really something that has totally changed the game totally versus the past, whereby if you're a physicist, you're a doctor, you're a transport engineer, you don't need to be like that. In fact, you need everybody to help you solve the problem.
Yeah, I think the fields that are moving slower are mostly affected by regulations and how difficult it is to work with the data in those fields. So I think some other technologies that help protect privacy are going to impact and help those fields move along faster.
Okay. Oren just mentioned privacy, but I think we only have a few minutes left, so there are, I know there are a lot of people with a lot of questions, but, well, I'll just have the very last question, I'm sorry. I will read, the question is in English, so, what is the best way to protect abuse of AI? Perhaps everywhere you go, you will encounter this type of question, I assume. So maybe 1 minute each.
I think it's terrible that anyone would abuse it. They should be sent to jail. No, this is every technology has potential for abuse as well as good. And so it's really up to us to decide how to use it. And that may require rules and regulations, but you want to avoid doing that prematurely until you understand what the real impact is. We're beginning to understand that with Facebook and some other companies, abuse of data. And so in due time, that will be corrected. But it takes time to uncover the potential for abuse, and then to adopt the proper regulations that you don't go overboard. You don't want to go overboard because you're going to basically suppress an industry. But you want to make sure that that there are rules that everybody has to follow. Otherwise, you may do something. You may actually end up doing something that Google claims it would never do. Do no evil.
Yeah, well, I think probably the best way to avoid abuse is to make sure people are aware of what the technology can do. Because I think a lot of abuse stems from people using AI to do things people didn't think were previously possible. So our work on being able to synthesize high-resolution images, by the way we can do that with videos as well, allows us to make what look like legitimate photographs and videos of things that never happened. So I could make a video of Terry robbing a bank, right? And then say, well, here's Terry robbing the bank, and be arrested and thrown in jail. But if people are aware of what the technology can do, then I think that they'll be, skeptical enough that they'll require more corroboration of things. You'll have less fake news. Another real concern about abuse of AI has to do with bias. A lot of AIs are biased about gender, about race, in ways that reflects data sets. And I think that when people curate data sets, they need to be aware of this and be very conscious to avoid unconscious bias in training AIs from data sets that will draw biased conclusions about things. I think we also have to be very careful when we put AI into safety-critical systems, that we have sufficient safeguards to avoid failures that can result in tragic accidents. And I think that there's a whole set of things we need to be aware of there. But I think awareness is the way that we combat these problems. We don't combat it by shutting down AI. We combat it by embracing AI, but being aware of its capabilities and understanding where the issues are so that we can address them one by one.
Yeah, I agree with Bill. I think awareness is important. But the thing that scares me the most, I mean, like any technology, it can be used for good or bad, and that's life. And we're gonna live with that. But the thing that scares me most about AI, as well as many of these new technologies coming up, is that there are many unintended consequences. A lot of times when we're doing something, we don't think far enough, or we don't anticipate far enough that these things have very larger consequences. When Facebook was started, I don't think they were aware that fake news would become one of the things that's going to kill them, right? Or the fact that using those information for political means is going to kill them. Those consequences, I don't think anyone predicted, even as early as like 2 or 3 years ago. You're not talking about 10 years ago, right? So with AI, the consequences are just going to get more and more unpredictable. We may not know what the implications are. And the earlier we know that, the better we can deal with it. The problem is that it only reaches a point where it blows up and then we start dealing with it, and that's kind of too late. And then, to me, that's the biggest fear of yours.
Yeah, I think, in addition to what the other speaker said, if you think about the technical side, it's a lot more exciting to report successes of machine learning and less exciting to research vulnerabilities. So luckily, there's a small set of researchers that are going that direction in the machine learning community. But I think we really need to understand the limitations of these technologies before we start deploying them on a massive scale.
One last footnote. The NIPS meeting is coming up in Montreal in the first week of December, so next week. And this is a huge issue at the meeting. And so we have speakers, we have panel discussions, and it's also about inclusiveness and diversity is also very important in our community. So if the community of researchers is aware of the potential for abuse, we are the ones who are creating the technology. We are the ones who will understand potential problems first. And we also are in a position to be able to correct them if we think that there's a way to prevent that from happening within the algorithm. For example, bias is a good example. Well, if your goal, if your cost function just says make as much money as possible, then it will use whatever bias it can to create that. For example, it will people who live in bad neighborhoods won't get money because there's a high percentage of those people who don't pay the mortgage. But if you think that being fair is important, then that should be part of the cost function. In other words, fairness has some value. And now the question is, how do you weigh that against profit? And now that's something that goes beyond what the technologists can tell you. We need input now from other people in society.
Well, we ran out of time. I wish we had much more time. I personally have a lot of follow-up questions to ask, but I assume all audience members too. But just because we don't have enough time, we'll have to stop here. And the last question we entertained was the one that everyone in our society will have to think whenever we do machine learning and other AI technologies. So with that, we'll finish this session. Thank you, every panel member. And